Most of us think we know the story of Anne Frank, but have you ever stopped to think about what it actually felt like to live in hiding day after day? Today, we're going to dig into the psychological weight of the single most important rule in the secret annex: absolute, unending silence. And this one sentence, man, it just says it all, doesn't it? This wasn't about being well-behaved or keeping a neat schedule. Nope, this was about one single, suffocating law that controlled every second of their lives. So, yeah, let's dive right into that. This was, for all intents and purposes, a law. The law of silence. It was absolute, and it was non-negotiable. And let's be really clear about what that means. We're not talking about just being quiet so you don't bother the neighbors. This was a direct life or death equation. If you make a sound, you risk being discovered. And discovery? Well, discovery meant death. It's that simple, and it's that terrifying. So what did that terrifying equation actually look like in their daily lives? Let's take a look at what it really meant to live your entire life on mute. Okay, so look at this. Their entire day, their whole world was framed by one thing: the work schedule of the people in the warehouse right below their feet. From 8 in the morning until 6 at night, that's 10 solid hours. Their world had to go completely, totally silent. And this just shows you the level of hypervigilance they had to live with. It wasn't about avoiding a big argument. We're talking about a simple cough, the scrape of a chair, even flushing a toilet. Any of these tiny, everyday noises could be the one sound that gave them away. Can you even imagine the constant tension? Living with that kind of tension meant following a very specific set of regulations, a set of rules that our source material perfectly calls the impossible rulebook. I mean, just look at this list. It's almost hard to wrap your head around. They had to walk around only in socks to muffle their footsteps. All talking was reduced to whispers. No running water meant no flushing toilets, no washing hands. That last one says it all. They had to systematically shut down every single normal human instinct. And then there's this detail, which is it's just devastating. Laughter, one of the most natural, joyful things a person can do, became a source of pure fear. A spontaneous moment of happiness could be the very thing that got them all killed. The self-control that takes is just staggering to think about. So you have to ask yourself, honestly, could you do it for over 2 years? Could you suppress every part of yourself, every single day, just to stay alive? It's a tough question. You know, this intense, constant pressure didn't just cause stress. It did something more. It actually started to warp their personalities, which is why this next idea is so perfect: the emotional laboratory. Think of the annex like a pressure cooker for human emotions. It took their existing personalities and just cranked the volume way up. So as you can see here, people who were naturally quiet didn't just stay quiet. They became consumed by anxiety. And the people who were more outgoing and loud, they didn't just get frustrated, they grew deeply, deeply resentful. And this is the core of that idea. An emotional laboratory is basically a closed system where all the normal ways to let off steam are sealed shut. So everything, every little frustration, every fear, and even every tiny flicker of hope, it all gets trapped inside and amplified to an almost unbearable level. And who understood this better than Anne herself? This insight from her diary is just so profound. She got it. She knew the silence wasn't just a passive shield protecting them. It was an active force that was fundamentally reshaping who they were every single day. And that shaping force leads us to our final, and maybe the most paradoxical, outcome of all this oppressive silence, what we're calling the echo within. Just stop for a second and think about everything that was taken away from them. The freedom to make noise, gone. The freedom to move around freely, gone. The freedom to make even the smallest choices for yourself, gone. It was a total sensory and personal deprivation. But here's the fascinating psychological twist. When you strip away all the noise and stimulation from the outside world, your inside world doesn't go quiet with it. Oh no, it gets deafeningly loud. Your own thoughts, your fears, your hopes, they all just start to echo in the silence. And that right there, that's the ultimate takeaway. That crushing, forced stillness that was designed to make them invisible actually became the unlikely incubator for one of the most powerful and enduring inner voices in modern history. The silence of the Annex is exactly what allowed her voice in that diary to become so incredibly, unbelievably clear. So we'll leave you with this final thought. The story of the Annex shows us how a lack of external noise can turn up the volume on our internal world. And it really makes you wonder, if you could truly manage to silence everything around you, what would you actually hear inside yourself?